meeting to order. We do have a quorum. If you will please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In front of you, you have the minutes from our March 23rd meeting. If you please take a moment to look at them, see if you have any additions and or deletions. If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
A motion to approve the minutes as printed.
Motion's been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Properly seconded. Any other discussion? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. All those in favor of approving the minutes signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carries by acclamation. At this time, we'll go into our Historic Zoning Commission and Common Desire Review Board cases. Brett?
Thank you. Before we get going, just want to thank Mr. David Smith for all the images you will see from the air today. That being said, our first case is DDR 9 2026. It's the application of Legends Bank with the agent of Alicia Suray. Reason for the request is Legends Bank is a thoughtfully designed office development in downtown Clarksville, Tennessee, about 1 block east of the Cumberland River. It will serve as the bank's headquarters and include flexible office space for future tenants. The 4-story building will total approximately 36,690 square feet, creating a modern workplace that supports operations and long-term growth. And that property is located at 310 North 1st Street. It is the property looking into the site on your screen. You have Jefferson Street running at the bottom of the photo and North 1st running to the left, and the new construction will be at the corner of that intersection. We'll point out the current Legends Bank will remain with the drive-through as it currently is. This is a new building. Next shot is just looking with your back toward the river here. Then just continuing to go around the site, hovering over the current bank. And then finally looking back toward the river. Final shot looking straight down. We'll point out from this shot the 2 driveways off of Jefferson will be combined into one with this new construction, as you can see with this conceptual site plan here. As I mentioned, the existing bank and what's there will remain, and the new construction will be at that intersection of North 1st and Jefferson. And as I mentioned, the one ingress-egress point down here. Next, we go to the elevations. The left elevation on the screen is how the property or how the new construction will be viewed from North 1st Street. The material starting at the base is a stone base. It is majority brick and does have some metal curtain wall infill panels and a standing seam roof. The elevation on the right is how it will be viewed from Jefferson Street. There is a parking underneath the structure, so below the first floor, the materials are the same, and they do have some mesh screening to conceal that parking area. Final 2 elevations on the left, we have, if your back was to the river, how the site will be viewed. Again, you can see that mesh screening to conceal the parking and then the entrance there. And on the right, as if you were at the current Legends Bank looking at it, the perspective you would have. And then here's those materials I just detailed, the stone base, burgundy brick, and then the metal infill panels. And this is an example of that mesh that will be concealing the parking. And then finally, some 3D renderings. The rendering at the top of the screen is the intersection of North 1st and Jefferson, and you can see the existing bank behind it there to give you a perspective. The bottom left view is how it will be viewed from Jefferson Street, and the right view is from North 1st Street. The only staff comments, the site and landscape plan approval is still needed. As I mentioned, it is a conceptual site plan. They have not formally submitted to the Planning Commission yet. So, any questions of the staff?
Yes, Brett, one question, the 4-story, is that?
Push your button, David, for
Yep.
we can hear you.
Brett, does that 4-story building fit into the guidelines?
It does. It's allowed 4 stories there. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
What are they gonna do with the building behind it? It's still gonna run as a bank?
It's
or
going to remain. Yes, ma'am.
It's gonna be a bank?
I would assume so. I'll let their representative answer that.
They just want a bigger bank? Is that what they building?
It's going to
this
be
one?
their headquarters and flexible
Oh.
office space.
Okay, all right. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for the staff or for Brett? Seeing none, we will now open the public hearing for DDR-9-2026. Is there anyone that wishes to speak in favor? Please come forward. You'll have 3 minutes and state your name and state your address. Anyone in favor? Seeing none, is there anyone opposed, in opposition? Anyone in opposition? Please come forward. Seeing none, we will now close the public hearing of DDR-9-2026. Are there any more questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion's been made, properly seconded. Any other discussion? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? It carries by acclamation.
All right, next case is DO2 2026. It's the application of Summer Hans with the agent of Nick Madonia with Kimley Horn. Reason for the request is requesting to construct a freestanding 3,432 square foot Chase Bank on the corner of Madison Street and Golf Club Lane, located at 1788, 1790, and 1798 Madison Street. The proposed bank elevations and site layout are designed to meet the intent of the Madison Street Corridor Overlay District standards. This property does fall in the Hilldale Memorial Drive subdistrict of the Madison Street Corridor. This is looking into the site. You have Madison Street in the foreground and Golf Club Lane running across the middle of the screen. So the current building, the Poor Man's Country Club, I think a barber and dry cleaners, will be demolished with the proposal for the bank today. This is just continuing to go around the site. We'll point out from this view, currently there's several access points along Madison Street and Golf Club Lane. Those will all be closed up, sidewalks and a landscape strip added. The only access point to the bank will be directly across from the old Ashland City Road intersection. Then one more looking from the back of the site back toward Madison Street. And then finally looking straight down onto the site, which leads into the site and landscape plan. So with the Hilldale Memorial Drive subdistrict, it does call for reduced setbacks. The bank is within those reduced setbacks. And as I mentioned, the only access point will be across from Old Ashland City Road. The rest will be closed up with sidewalks and a landscape strip. The only other thing I'll point out from here is the main entrance to the bank will be interior to the parking area. The I guess, quote, rear of the building will be facing Madison Street, but they have worked with the elevations there, which you see on your screen here. So the north elevation, the top elevation, is how the building will be viewed from Madison Street. The guidelines call to provide entrances that are distinct and visible from the street. There will be no entrance on that side of the building. However, they do well exceed the glazing percentage that is required. They are showing 72% glazed. The bottom left is the east elevation as it will be viewed from Golf Club Lane. Again, there is no entrance there. However, they exceed the glazing percentage on that facade as well. The materials is all brick, a combination of midnight and ash color with metal accents. In the next slide, the south elevation at the top of the screen is will be the main entrance to the bank. Again, it will be facing interior to the parking lot. The brick colors are the same with the midnight and ash color. On the south, though, around the main entrance, they're adding a platinum-colored brick. And then the lower left elevation, the west elevation is how it will be viewed from the neighboring gold and silver shop. Staff comments, as I mentioned, provide entrances that are distinct and visible from the street, and the site and landscape plan approval is set to go before the Planning Commission tomorrow. And I will answer any questions of the staff if there are any.
Is there any questions for Brett? Kirk?
I'm really concerned that it's a lot of congestion there with the two rows. Are we going to do some sort of traffic control device there or something? Because coming out from the gun range, coming out around there, it gets very congested.
I didn't receive any comments related to traffic from the street department.
Okay.
My guess is with all the current driveways and accesses into the site, this kind of cleans that up a little bit.
It does
So,
help. It does help. Yeah.
But we didn't receive any comments from the street department.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead, Wanda.
On what Kurt was saying,
Mhm.
we have to go across double lane traffic just to get over to that bank. If that's the way, do I have it right? Because if it's a gun shop across the street from it, right?
Mhm.
So that's on the right. The bank will be over here on the left. So there's 2 lanes here. Then you got 2 lanes here, traffic going this way. So that's gonna be kind of a terrible entrance going, is that ingress and egress going in and out? And that's terrible. That's really bad.
So a couple things I'll point out here. TDOT, the bank applied for an access point up here. They had a shared access easement. TDOT denied it because of how close it was to that intersection. And again, as it is currently, you can access here, and pretty much this entire length. All that will be closed up with sidewalk and green landscape strip, and the only access point will be right here across from Old Ashland City Road. And as I mentioned prior, we lean on the street department in cases like this. This case has been around for a couple months now, and we haven't received any comments, so.
So I just want to make sure I'm clear and I understand what you're saying. I heard you and I'm kind of clear. But right there, over there on Madison, they won't be able to come in that way. It's going to be closed off.
Correct.
And the only way is from this Ashland City across from the gun shop. That is a very terrible entrance, ingress and egress, because you're going to have to go across. I've already had, a lot of people already had a wreck there. Trying to get across, it is very congested there. I think that's not good, but I think that's poor. That's very poor judgment. I don't know who made that decision, but I think that it's not good to try to go across 2 streets to get over into that bank. And it's really, it's not open. It's not open where you can just go in. If it was open from Madison Street, that would be a very good point to bring in an ingress and egress, because you can turn right off of there. But you got to go across 2 lanes of traffic, and I think that's a part way of a turning lane too. Yeah, I think that's a very poor decision. That's just my opinion. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Brent? I do have a couple of questions.
Yes, sir.
What is the normal glazing? You said 72 and 62 is a little higher. Is it 50?
Retail is 60%, non-retail is 40%. I would think bank falls in the non-retail, although there's been some discussion at the office, but we consider bank, restaurant, non-retail, so it would be that 40%. So they almost double on the Madison Street side.
Have we asked them to decrease that down to the registered part?
Nah, I think we prefer more glazing.
That's a minimum, not a maximum.
Okay,
Yeah.
minimum. Okay,
Yeah,
I thought it was
yeah, I'm
over the
sorry.
maximum.
Yeah.
Okay, my fault. And then have they shown us anything on signage? Are they within their, because I know people that get in corners and those high probabilities, when we come down to it, they want these big signs. We tell them that.
They did submit, when this first came through back in January, they just have one kind of pole or pylon monument sign that's within the guidelines. I haven't seen any signage on the building.
Okay.
So,
All right,
but
thank
it
you.
will be handled administratively whenever they do pursue that. So,
In the site plan.
yep.
Any other questions for the staff? Sure.
Is there any way we can allow them to have another ingress and egress from Madison Street? Is there any way? Do we have any power to do that? I know you
don't
said a
think-
state,
I'll defer to Mr. Tyndall, but I think TDOT has
because I
final
want to see
say
the
on
bank
their-
up. I would love to see a Chase Bank.
Well, as Mr. Clemens mentioned, TDOT has told them they would not support a new driveway on Madison Street, and I agree that close to the intersection, you don't want people making a left turn while people are stacked in a left turn lane going the opposite direction. While I do tend to agree, and I've pulled out of the Ashland City Road intersection there, it can be difficult. Those are two city roads. Honestly, long term, I think there's enough room for a little roundabout there, and it probably would really work to distribute the traffic out there pretty good. But there's some other things that can be done with some signage, lowering the speed limit right there, and you can tee that up better. That's obviously a very old part of town where those roads came together, and it's just becoming busier and busier. Bank hours of operation typically are not during peak hours, though. They're typically 10 to 4, whereas peak hours are before and after those times. So I don't anticipate as many people coming in and out of this during the peak hours of traffic either. So there is that with the current use. If it was a different type of use, like a restaurant or something, we may be talking about some other things. But I think getting right in and right out, and of course you can always get right out, get on Drinkard Street and get out as well. So there's another way in and out there, and it is what it is. I do like that. About 80% of the openings are going to be narrowed back down. What you see there now across the street and even down to the west there, uncontrolled accesses are really the worst thing you can have because you can have 2 or 3 cars trying to all pull out at the same time, or it's just really a big mess. So this is really going to help channelize it. Everyone will know the cars will be at one point and will come in and out. It's just a tough site, but I think they're making the best they can out of it.
Almost. Emma, okay. Mr. Turner, I hear you, and I agree with you to some point. But I know I'm traveling that street all the time, and I'm telling you, trying to come, turn to come up out of that street where Thomas Lumber Company is, come there. It's so congested, you don't know what to do because it is very congested during the evening there. It's hard. So I just want to make that clear. Thank you.
Any other questions for the staff? Seeing none, I will now open the public hearing for DO-2-2026. Anyone in favor, please come forward, state your name and your address, and you'll have 3 minutes. Anyone in favor? Seeing none, anyone in opposition? Please come forward, state your name and address. You'll have 3 minutes.
Good afternoon, Jennifer Rudolph, 313 Hampshire Court, Clarksville, Tennessee. I live in this area. I travel this particular route almost daily. As Ms. Smith stated, this is a really congested area. If you had the overhead picture back up, not only do you have Old Ashland City Road coming into that almost curve, you've got on the Madison Street corner, you've got a service station. They're coming out onto Golf Club. You've got the gun store coming out onto Golf Club. From Old Ashland City Road, you've got people trying to pull out to the left and to the right. Opposite that, you've got people on Golf Club trying to get in to Old Ashland City Road. A big problem, and I don't know the answer, Thomas Lumber Company is just down Old Ashland City Road. They receive semi-trucks almost daily. They turn on this intersection of Madison and Golf Club on a regular basis. They are always going over the curbs. They're tearing up light posts. They're tearing up landscaping. And that's just a small fraction of the problem there. people trying to get out of Old Ashland City Road are at a great risk pulling out into that 3-lane of who's doing what. So on the basis of a traffic safety concern, that is the only objection that I have to this. I think something should be looked into making that a little bit safer prior to another business opening up there. With one ingress, egress, I just feel like it's going to make it even worse. Notice the engineer said, or was shaking his head, that when you narrow it down to just one ingress and egress, it might make it safer. I don't have the statistics on that, but just one ingress and egress makes me very concerned about the traffic and the safety. Thank you.
Anybody have any questions for Ms. Rudolph? Sure, go ahead.
Yes, ma'am.
Push your button, please.
People unlike you.
Thank you for bringing forth that same information that I was trying to share. I appreciate that because it is a terrible road, because like you said, they can be going into the gun, trying to turn into the gun shop, and then trying to go over across 2 lanes to get to the bank. Like we said, we want to see the Chase Bank here. That's not the issue.
I have no opposition
Right, no.
whatsoever. I feel like, though, our city, or at least the state, TDOT,
Yeah,
could
should-
help us and help the bank.
I agree.
Or we're just going to have more accidents
That's
there.
right. It's very dangerous over there.
I'm sorry, what's not going to happen?
TDOT's not gonna change.
What, do you
Here,
turn your mic
speak
on,
on.
please? Wait till she finishes. and
Oh,
then
I'm
you can
through.
speak.
I'm through.
TDOT's not gonna change.
Turn your thing on, Eric.
Okay.
TDOT's not gonna change that.
I understand TDOT's maybe not always the easiest to work with, but I don't know that TDOT has given us an opinion on one ingress and egress out of that lot. Whether they will or will not do anything doesn't change the fact that that's a high-risk area for an accident.
Any other
Golf Club
questions?
Lane is not a state road. We're getting a lot of people. Golf Club Lane's not a state road out there, so it's really a local issue. I mean, as I'm looking at this here, and I don't want to scold the bank for trying to do what's right out there and
Nor do
redevelop
I.
the site.
Absolutely not.
And again, almost everywhere you're going to see limiting of driveways. Most towns don't want unlimited access to properties like this. It causes a lot of cut through and conflicts on the site. As I'm looking at this right now, I think a simple stop sign on the northbound side of Golf Club approaching this intersection would at least give a gap in traffic for folks. I think this is, though I wouldn't tie it to this site plan, I do think this is something the street department could look at for traffic safety improvements. Some extra signage, maybe some extra pavement, or something to make that more channelized, because right now it's a very big intersection, and it's a little bit of a sight distance to look to the left coming out of Ashland City Road. So like I said, I think it's perfect for a roundabout, but it would be a very busy roundabout, but that would work well as well.
I also noticed on the agenda there's business on Golf Club currently that's looking to expand their office space on Golf Club not too far from this, which is going to bring in more traffic onto Golf Club. And we never even talked about the Lowe's store that is predominantly ingress, egress from Golf Club and Madison. So we've also got that traffic. Again, no fault of the banks. It's just a really messy situation that's prime for automobile accidents and injuries.
David?
I have to agree with Mr. Tyndall. I think you're taking 2 entrances off of Madison. You're taking, which actually is off of Golf Club, is just a wide open street where everybody can go and do what they want to do. There's no signage to stop them from doing that, and you're kind of controlling it. I understand there's only one egress and ingress, but I really believe that this is the way. And as far as the possibility of a roundabout, if you're talking about Thompson Lumber, they're not going to be able to take a tractor trailer around a roundabout. But you know those things, like I said, the stop sign could work. But I think this is, you're taking the Wild West here and you're controlling it. That's my feeling.
Any other questions for Ms. Rudolph? Thank you, Ms. Rudolph.
Am I supposed to press one of these buttons?
That's fine.
Because I think it's on.
Yeah, it is. We'll take care of it. Anyone else wish to speak in opposition? Anyone wish to speak in opposition? Please come forward, state your name and your address. You'll have 3 minutes.
Louisa Cook, 5A Thayer Lane, Clarksville. I'm not really in opposition, but I just have a couple of questions. I agree with the things that are being said about the traffic considerations, but what I heard in the presentation was that the back of the bank is going to be facing Madison Street. It doesn't sound very positive to me, because that's a big intersection, like we all know. It needs to be pretty, it needs to look good, it needs to be sure that what they see from the street is nice. And my second part of that comment is it needs some greenery, because it's a pretty bad looking lot right now. So that's really all I have to say, my comments.
Any questions for Ms. Cook? Thank you, Ms. Cook.
I'll
And
respond to that a little
go
bit
to
there.
Jeff.
First of all, here's the greenery. First of all, the site right now doesn't have any green, and here it's going to get about 30% lawn and landscaping. So that's a big improvement. Should even help with some possible drainage issues on the site. And then if we go back to the aerial, Daniel, where we look across the street, the oblique angle, that one, the dental place and the office building across the street, that's technically the back of the building there too. It fronts towards Publix. This is where the entry for that building is too. So I think there are ways to make the back of a building look proper and not really realize it's going to be the back. It'll probably have a Chase sign on it. It just means that the door to walk in is going to be on the other side of the building. I think it's a vast improvement from what's there now. I know we all hate to see sort of a landmark institution go. I hope they find a new home somewhere else. But it's an opportunity to improve the corner and what's really a prominent corner in our neighborhood over there.
I have, Mr. Tyndall, go back to the rear view that's facing to the north, not that one, that one. You put a stop sign on Golf Club Lane in the northern direction. You're not stopping southbound traffic coming from Madison or from Memorial Drive. So the person turning left is still at a crossroads.
I'm not a traffic engineer. It's a possibility. It's not an ideal situation to have a stop in one direction or another, but you cannot put a stop on that southbound or you'd back everyone up into Madison Street. So it's not ideal for sure.
Would anybody else like to speak in opposition? Anyone else? Seeing none, we will now close the public hearing of DO-2-2026. Is there any other comments? If not, I will entertain a motion.
Make a motion for approval.
Second.
Motion's been made and properly seconded. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries. It carries. Yeah, it carries. All right, now we will go to case DO-9-2026. Brett?
All right, yep. Final case today, DO9-2026. It's the application of Chick-fil-A Inc. with the agent of Mark Campbell. Reason for the request is Chick-fil-A restaurant with all associated and warranted parking, drive-through, utilities, and site enhancement for property located at 1607 and 1611 Fort Campbell Boulevard. These properties do fall in the Cunningham Concord sub-district of Fort Campbell Boulevard. That sub-district has no reduced setbacks, but does have glazing requirements. This is looking into the site. Currently, the Easy Money and the adjoining drive-through donation center will both be tore down with this proposed Chick-fil-A. I'll also point out Fort Campbell Boulevard's at the bottom of your screen. You have 4 current access points into the site that will be condensed down to 1 ingress-egress point off of Fort Campbell. And then to the rear of the site, there is an additional one off of Ashbury Road, which currently exists. This with view looking toward downtown again. It is those 2 structures, the drive-through donation center and the easy money that will come down to make room for this proposed Chick-fil-A. Then one looking from the rear of the site back toward Fort Campbell Boulevard. And then one looking back toward downtown with a better view of Ashbury Road and the access point that it will have back there. And again, these 4 on Fort Campbell will be reduced to 1. And then the final shot, looking straight down, I will point out, as I've mentioned, it's these 2 parcels. The corner lot is a separate parcel. It is not part of this development. And then here is the site and landscape plan. Fort Campbell Boulevard is running north-south on your screen, and Ashbury Road is to the bottom. Again, the ingress-egress off of Ashbury and the one off of Fort Campbell Boulevard. And everything else will be closed up with sidewalks added. Also from the site plan, point out the drive-through. As you know, Chick-fil-A is another animal. 2-lane drive-through starting the back of the site and going all the way around. And the pickup window and drive-through canopy will be facing Fort Campbell Boulevard. This application has received a Board of Zoning Appeals variance to allow the street-facing drive-through pickup window and drive-through lane on the what we would consider the front of the building. And I'll go back real quick. In talks with Chick-fil-A, they have really increased the landscaping and buffering to kind of screen that drive-through area from Fort Campbell Boulevard as well. Finally, we have the elevations. So I'll call your attention to the top left perspective view and the top right elevation. That is the view as it will face Fort Campbell Boulevard. Non-retail in the Cunningham Concord subdistrict does have a 40% glazing requirement, which is not met with this with these elevations. In defense of Chick-fil-A, the way the restaurant's oriented, this is all back of house kitchen area, which typically does not have glazing to begin with. We'll point out also as well, they have added brick canopies and a little wall there to help screen the drive-through walkout window, I won't call it a pickup window, from the right-of-way, and you could see that in the elevation as well. This is an all-brick building, a combination of dark brown and light brown colored brick. And then the bottom elevation on the screen is really the front of the building, which will face interior to the site. Staff comments provide entrances that are distinct and visible from the street. Cunningham Concord Subdistrict requires the 40% glazing for non-retail buildings, and then site and landscape plan approval is still needed, and that is set to go to the Planning Commission tomorrow. And I'll answer any questions.
Any questions for Brent? Any questions for Brent? Seeing none, we will now move into the public hearing. We will now open the public hearing for case DO-9-2026. Is there anyone that wishes to speak in favor? Please come forward, state your name and address. You'll have 3 minutes, sir.
Good afternoon, Mark Campbell, Carter Engineering, 1010 Commerce Drive, Bogart, Georgia. I appreciate y'all taking time to hear this project. I first set foot on this site in April of 25, so it has been a lot of work to get to this point. The site certainly has its challenges, but we think it's a great opportunity for a new Chick-fil-A in Clarksville, and certainly looking forward to that. I'm happy to answer any questions y'all might have. Again, had positive discussions with the Board of Zoning Appeals to be able to get to this point here today, and ultimately Planning Commission tomorrow afternoon as well. It is a little bit different. We've talked about the things that we've done to help try to mitigate and improve as that relates to traffic, right? As it relates to sidewalk, landscaping, the brick additions that we've talked about as well. I'm not the architect, I'm the civil engineer, so I understand what glazing is. I'm not always sure how to meet those glazing requirements. I do know that the glazing requirements for the 40% would probably be a little bit easier to meet within a kitchen back of house area if we could do some type of spandrel glass or something that's just not a clear glass looking into some of the things that are being done back in the kitchen. So I don't know if this board has this type of authority to do that, or from a clarification standpoint. But again, I'm just here. I'm excited about the project. I'm happy to answer any questions that y'all might have this afternoon. So.
Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Campbell? Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for being here. You know the chicken. A very popular place, especially on Madison Street, okay? You know that they had to redo the drive-through because of the traffic. So have you set this building up for less traffic being jammed? Because you're on 41A, near, not far from the base, the Fort Campbell base, and I'm sure you will get a lot of customers. So how are we going to entertain this traffic through the drive-through? Will it be out in the highway? You think you have it situated where it will be confined to your area?
Yes, ma'am. I'm happy to answer that question. And I will tell you, I've been blessed to be able to work for Chick-fil-A for a while.
Turn your mic.
Thank you. And so the way we used to design restaurants with drive-throughs is we put the building in the middle of the site, we put the parking around the perimeter of the site, and then we wrap the drive-through around the building. And that works until it doesn't. And if you don't believe me, I can give you some examples, but you might be familiar with some. So the way the newest innovation, and I do think that this, Chick-fil-A is an innovator as it comes to drive-through and meal delivery services, is we bifurcate the traffic. You are either dine-in or you are drive-through. You are very rarely both. So what happens here is we have an isolated double drive-through lane all the way around the exterior of the site, and the parking for those dine-in customers are to the interior. So you can park and walk in and not have to walk across the drive-through like you would 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. But the other benefit of that is it allows you to stack a lot more cars within the drive-through. But that's one of the features of this particular site too, is if we faced what would have been considered in the past the front of the building towards Fort Campbell, you still wouldn't have a way out on Fort Campbell because TDOT would only give you that one driveway to the south, so you'd still have to wrap around the building. But that would have reduced the number of cars being stacked in the drive-through by about 10 to 12 cars. So by turning the building where it is facing towards Ashbury, quite frankly, with the side of the building facing Fort Campbell and the mitigations therein, that allowed for additional stacking on site to come around the north side by the pawn shop, to come around the rear, and then having those 2 points of ingress and egress really help that out.
Oh, okay, that sounds good. Is that about a mile? Are those two? All right, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question, only because this will probably be on the consent agenda tomorrow for the Planning Commission. Daniel, can you go back to the overhead picture? So you have 4 driveways right now with 4 pads. And I only ask this because if you want to make the area nice, we're going to tear up that depressed curb and put full-face curb in where the previous depressed curbs are, and then replant the green space and reestablish the sidewalk throughout the whole site, right?
That's
I don't
right.
think we've made that a condition on the site plan. I may make it as a note tomorrow, just so that's done. But there's no reason to keep those previous depressed curbs there when you don't need it anymore.
And just for clarification, I appreciate you bringing that up as well. That is what is shown. We've got full civil plans. I know at this point we're just looking at site or just looking at landscaping, but that's what we show on our plans is to take all of that out. So that is not just the intent, but that is what is shown on. That is the part I do design, so I can show that.
You don't always get that from everyone, so thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Campbell? David?
So as we're looking at this picture here, the road that goes out to Ashbury, that'll be two-way, correct?
That is correct.
Now, the egress that comes in from Fort County Boulevard, will that be only one way or both ways, out, in and out?
That will be both ways.
Both ways.
All right. That's the only question I have. Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Campbell? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak in favor? Anyone else wish to speak in favor? Please come forward, state your name and address. Seeing none, anyone that wishes to speak in opposition? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition, please come forward, state your name and address. Seeing none, we will now close the public hearing for DO 9-2026. Is there any other questions for the staff? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to accept.
Motion to approve. Is there a second? Been properly seconded. Any other discussion? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Carries by acclamation. Thank you. Is there any other business to come before this body? Inside your folder, you will see a letter about the Joseph.
The 1 year report.
The 1 year report.
And Brent, you can fill in any other things, but upon approval of the Joseph, which actually took place a year ago, believe it or not, there were 3 conditions. 2 are being met with the construction of it, and the third was to provide a update at the 1 year point. As you are aware, the property was accepted into the National Registry about 2 or 3 months ago. And this report letter provided in your packets is from the owner of the property to give you her 1 year perspective on the application. You're welcome to take it home and read it.
And she is out of town, so that's why she could not be here today.
Is there any other business? We can't take questions from the floor.
You'll have open public time.
Yeah, anyone wish to make any public
I'll
comments?
just make one more staff comment. The next meeting will be May 18th next month, so it will be a week ahead.
And
That's the only staff comment.
we're working with Phil Walker, the consultant that was doing the downtown guidelines. We are looking at a mid-May public meeting to go over the guidelines and the ordinance for the historic and the overlay. As you remember, we tried to expand the historic district about 1.5 years ago. It was tabled at the Planning Commission. Our intent would be to bring the new ordinance, untable that at the Planning Commission, and bring it all together to the City Council as one packet. So putting that together. We'll let you know when those dates are solidified.
Read it if you want. Anyone wish to make any public comments? Please come forward. State your name and address. You'll have 3 minutes.
Jennifer Rudolph. Mr. Gannon, we've waited a year to hear a report on the
I will show you my
condition.
letter after this meeting is over, and you may read it. You'll understand when you read the letter.
There's not been anything done to the house in a year.
I'll let you read the letter. Here, you can read it now if you wish.
I just want to state on record that your words a year ago, because I've rewatched it numerous times to be sure, at the 1 year mark, there was to be a report, and if nothing had happened to move forward on the restoration of the house, all construction stops.
Well, that was for the getting on the National Register and making sure the house stayed and those things. And as far as my knowledge at this point, those have been upheld.
Restoration of the house was also in that motion,
Yeah.
that amendment, and
because it
everyone
wasn't-
voted.
It wasn't torn down. We will get a better report on that part in this letter, but it's clearly not in this letter at the moment.
Will we?
Do you want me to read the letter out loud? I can do that if we can just move on. I'll read the letter out loud if you really want to hear it right now.
Censor something.
Yes. So if you want to hear it, I will read it out loud.
Yes, sir, please.
Okay, there we go. This is our update. We are building an amazing multi-use development incorporating an obsolete structure in the heart of downtown. Nevertheless, we received threats. Our site repetitively vandalized. One neighbor declared war, setting 50 foot of a permanent fencing and quarry blocks, disregarding the rules that you require only us to follow. It is ironic the workforce focused on nonprofit is afraid of the workforce itself. We are a most obvious example of rampant good old boy system that employs every efforts to continuously torpedo any efforts to revitalize in the neighborhood. Some people on this board systematically trespasses our properties, harass residents and workers, get physically violent with our team members, or openly support other groups vandalizing our activity construction site. The obsession is hurting your community, pushing away people from neighborhood and fueling problems while businesses are systematically closed downtown. 2 final points of this development. 1, the downtown revitalization needs the transformation of Madison Street from University to 3rd into a 2-way with row of parking. It will fill the gap between the residential area and the entertainment district. Push the redevelopment of the Dollar General strip and bring more foot traffic to businesses by increasing walkability. Every single business owner on this stretch is excited about the option, but currently administration is shutting it down over and over. And then the other point was the only reason why this old house is standing is because I chose to. Work with us, not against us. Jennifer Willoughby. Read it to you.
Mr. Gannon, may I ask, in light of her not following this board's requirements, that she give a report on the renovation of the house, that's not been done. I
Well,
heard.
this is the
I heard-
1 year. This is the 1 year, so
Yes,
now
sir.
we're in the process of doing that. I will expect a better report from this coming from next time, hopefully, but this is not the report I was looking for, if that is the answer that you want.
So the answer to my question is that she will be asked to give a report on the renovation of the house
That is correct.
in May?
I will take it in writing. She doesn't have to come here and physically do it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you, Mr. Gannon.
you're welcome. You will let her know? Okay. Anybody else wish to make a public comment? Seeing none, I will entertain the motion to adjourn. Motion's been made, properly seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. All those in favor, get up and leave.